Asking nicely, so this is the kind of the final bit.
Yeah.
There's no magic incantation. You don't have to kind of look at the moon and spin around 3 times. You don't have to say FOI. You don't have to send it to an address. You don't even have to explain why you're asking. In fact, probably best you don't, unless it would help with the context of it. You might find somebody friendly who actually answers the question you didn't ask. You just have to basically supply a question, your real name, so they're going to need to know your surname, and either a postal address if you expect it to be posted out to you, or an email address. That's all you have to ask. That's all you have to provide. So, decent question, who you are, so that you're a real person and they can track down that you're actually the same nutter as last time who keeps asking the same question, and a means of them getting back in contact with you. And 20 days later, you should find something arrives with the answer. Much better to ask what, when, how much, show me where, than the why, because why is not a question they can answer. You know, they should just say why. They should just say that isn't a question. So it's not to give an opinion, it's to give actual data, actual fact stuff that's there. Now you can ask the why question by asking for, you know, show me where this following issue has been discussed by your council or any of its subcommittees, and then they should be pointing you towards the minutes that actually where it comes, and they'll give you minutes, strips of stuff out of it. But best to check if the information is available beforehand. Best to give them a ring. So there are ways of getting their attention. So there are a few phrases that have worked for me, so I kind of share them. But stuff like my preferred format is one of those kind of things from FOI that is by electronic means. You can offer them. There's a whole thing about they can delay starting day 1 if they don't understand the request. So if they're a bit baffled, they can spend a bit of time coming back to you to say. So make it really clear for them. If you want clarification, come back to me. You know, we're really open to this. If it's more convenient, answer separately. So in other words, you don't have to wait till day 20 till you've got the very last jot and tittle kind of sorted out. You give me the bulk of the information now. Nobody's ever done that. And what I thought would be worth a try. I'd be grateful to confirm you've received it. I look forward to receiving the information or your reason for rejection. Quick reminder they have to give one promptly, but no later than 20 days, which is from the Act. So it kind of reminds them, don't just do the 20-day thing with me, I'm counting. Day 19, send them an email to say, I'm assuming this is going to come tomorrow, because that may trigger the person to actually go and do it. You can ask for it to be sent electronically. I've fallen foul of somebody who came back on day 20 and said, this is already available in the council office in Mackerfeld, and if you drive up you can see it, or we'll post it out to you for £35 with a photocopy. I kind of went, well, you're going to have to print it off from Word and then put it in, so can I not just have the copy of the Word? It would be reasonable, and the Act does this stuff about as far as reasonably practical to give effort to the preference that you've asked for. So if you ask for it electronically and it is already in some kind of electronic format, there's no reason why they can't give it to you. Now, if it's an Excel spreadsheet and you want it to Lotus 1, 2, 3, then that may not be practical for them, but it might be practical for them to say, here's the CSV file.
Some of the councils actually don't have the technical means to send out things, you know, if a lot of their stuff is on paper.
But they all have a scanner,
yeah.
Because you can be sure that if you get something from local government, it will have been printed out and it will have been set slightly sideways, put into a scanner, and the PDF will have a scan that. The only thing is, if you put it online and Google index it, Google do the OCR on things that are slightly wonky and sideways, and if you search then around the PDF through Google, you'll still actually be able to see the stuff. Local government don't know that bit, you can leave that out. So just to finish, kind of further help, the ICO believe in this because this is their baby. They do data protection, they do environmental stuff as well. There's an EI something, it's a bit like FOI for environmental stuff. They have a helpline, which is a very weird 03 number. They've just switched from 087 to 03. Their website, if you end up doing a couple of these for some particular reason, the website is your friend because it gives you all the stuff as a consumer and as a member of the public that you want. You can read it from the point of view of the person who's trying to reply, and you can kind of couch it then, get a bit more aware of how it all works. And some of the stuff's there. There's also quite a good book, which I pass on the recommendation, but I haven't actually read mine yet. Written by Heather Brooke. Heather Brooke was the one who started asking for MPs' expenses, and asked for quite some time for MPs' expenses. seen BBC4 did a kind of a document or a docudrama kind of thing based on her journey of the speaker saying no, the speaker saying no, and then you kind of realise what happened in the last year as this stuff eventually kind of came out. The Telegraph eventually effectively leaked the information before her FOI was eventually kind of satisfied, and what she got was actually much less than what the Telegraph got. But she writes quite a good book about actually how the process works, a bit of stuff around it, and was recommended to me by somebody who was looking into this as a student next there.
There's also whatdoweknow.com.
Yes.
Fantastic website that does the huge calculation of working out 20 working days over Christmas, Easter and God knows what, and gives it all a unique URL so which you request online, emails you to say have you had a response, or emails say here is your response, and manages it all online so you can put it onto your website, your blogs and everything to say this is what we're doing to annoy our council today.
So it's going to be slightly belligerent. I suspect that if the request comes, it still comes through you, but it kind of can come via
whatdoweknow.com.
Whatdoweknow.com. Sorry, it wasn't your Google to find. Whatdoweknow.com. Yes. And basically they'll manage the request into the bodies, and actually they'll manage the replies and make it available to everybody. So you can go on for your local council or your local whatever.
It's also easy to say, you know, if you search for Belfast City Council and have a look at what requests have been put in, because the chances are if you're asking for it, somebody may well have already asked for it. So you can see what the response is. If it's a negative response, at least you know what the pitfalls were. You can go back and tidy up those loopholes so they've got less to get out of it with, because for some reason bureaucracy likes getting out of giving you information generally.
It's actually, yeah, to add to that, you can actually go on and look at similar requests to other councils or other organisations and see the wording that works, because they're so pedantic when they want to be. And I put in requests to all the departments in Northern Ireland, and one of the words I was using was consultant in it, and 4 of them came back and they understood my use of the word consultant. 6 of them came back saying, "What do you mean by the word consultant?"
Do you mean health professional?
You know, so they can be, some of them can be very helpful, but others can be very pedantic, and to get over that hurdle, a phone conversation to work out the definitions of all the words you're using with them before you put the request in can save you 20 days.
Use it for
You
research.
can see one as a consultant, they can see it as
Is that an internal consultant or an you know, so to have a phone call with who you're going to FOI first, and to get those definitions of the words agreed between yourselves before you put the application in can save you the 20 days where they come back on the 20th day and go, "What do you mean?" You know, and it saves one leg of that process, because you can already say, as we agreed on these definitions.
The final point, because we're kind of, I'll take your question in a second, because we're kind of half past, so it's time for coming or going or whatever the next thing is. The press often will ask the same questions as a blogger or someone who actually just, so a citizen who wants to know the information. Quite often the press get the thing within hours by asking probably an even more vague question than the one actually would end up going through an FOI process. So a lot of these, it's worth bearing in mind that if you can try and talk to somebody, you may be able to get the information a lot faster, and everybody sleeps much sounder at night by not either feeling guilty or not feeling that they're spending all this wasted money actually trying to get all this stuff done. So it is worth trying to get it all kind of sussed out quite easily. But I kind of hope that gives you a bit of an overview should you ever, from the TransLink thing, use it again, or whether you're bloggers or just kind of interested people who have something about society that you want to actually find out. It's quite easy to use, but you just need to go into it with your eyes open, because it's a bit of a learning curve. But it can have some quite good success, and there are folk locally, Nevin Taggart, we should kind of give a bit of a plug for up north, who did stuff around the Giant's Causeway, is currently doing stuff around the Rathlin Boat and so on. Or is it the Rathlin Boat or is it the
Ferry?
The Rathlin Ferry. And he's just kind of plugging away slowly, finding where the holes are in the decisions and things, and just kind of plugging his way through. And he's just a wee man who kind of lives in Ballycastle and cares about his community, and actually gets a bit annoyed about some of the things that are dodgy going on and wants to do something with